Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
A Santa on the picket line, but there's little festive cheer among our NHS workers. Ambulance staff among the latest to walk out.
It's about time that everybody got a decent pay rise. Every year we have to battle and we get pittance.
Also tonight, a not guilty plea from the man accused of Olivia's murder in Liverpool.
James says a stem cell transplant gave him back his future. Tonight's the new trial that could offer hope for others with MS.
Who was the footballing secret Santa who gave these children the surprise of their lives?
And hopefully you got your Christmas chores done in the sunshine today. A bit of rain over the next few days. A full forecast is coming up and a sneaky peek to Christmas weekend.
Well, first tonight, and avoid unnecessary journeys, risky activities and contact sport was the advice given by the government as the region saw hundreds of ambulance staff on picket lines in a dispute over pay.
The Health Secretary has accused the trade unions of making a conscious decision to inflict harm on patients.
In response, ambulance workers say the national walkout isn't just about money, but also about protecting a crumbling NHS.
The strike comes as figures show A&E waits and ambulance response times have hit their worst levels on record.
Well, our region was amongst the hardest hit because members of 3 unions walked out.
People are being urged to only ring 999 if there's an immediate threat to life.
A number of contingency plans are in operation, including the use of some army drivers.
And most patients will need to find their own transport to get to hospital.
Well, our correspondent, Tim Scott, is in Manchester now, and this Christmas of discontent continues, Tim.
Yes, Gamal, yesterday it was the nurses who walked out. Today it's our ambulance drivers. I'm at a picket line outside an ambulance station in South Manchester. They've been here throughout the afternoon. You can hear them cheering, the cars beeping here. They'll be here to midnight when today's industrial action will end. Throughout today, ambulance category 1 call-outs, the most serious of categories, they have been attended, but categories 2, 3 and 4 will have seen little or no ambulances able to attend those calls. 3 unions are in dispute with the government over their 4% pay offer, but like the nurses yesterday, the ambulance drivers say it's about far more than pay. It's about staff shortages and the levels of service they're offering as a result of those staff shortages. Now, the Health Secretary, Stephen Barclay, he's still refusing to meet the unions to talk about pay, and there are fears that if this deadlock isn't broken, then these strikes, this industrial action will continue into the new year. My colleague Anne O'Connor has been looking at today's developments.
Not far from Manchester's Royal Infirmary, crews came back to base at noon, swapping their medical kit for banners and flags, taking cakes from colleagues in the fire service, striking for the first time in many careers.
It's about time that everybody got a decent pay rise. Every year we have to battle and we get pittance.
You get to the hospital, you're sat in the back of the ambulance with the patient. It can be 4, 5, it could be 10 hours at a time. You watch that patient deteriorate, it's heartbreaking.
But at times they put on their blue lights and sirens, breaking the strike to go to emergencies, staff wearing earpieces on the picket line.
We're still responding to our public, we're still going on life and limb cover. So if there's a cardiac arrest or someone that really, really needs our help, we're still going out there and we're still responding.
At the Royal Liverpool, more hospital staff stood where nurses had yesterday. Healthcare assistants, porters, occupational therapists, all with the same aim.
We're just doing it because we need safer working conditions for the NHS, and the government needs to stand up and listen to this. It's not safe on the wards. We haven't got the amount of staff that should be looking after patients.
The staffing levels in our hospitals are shocking at the moment. People are dying.
They want fair pay. Everybody clapped for us. Now pay us.
The Army's been trained to drive ambulances, but NHS managers have admitted safety will be compromised. The Health Secretary's accused paramedics of a conscious decision to inflict harm for what he calls an unaffordable pay rise above inflation. He denies he's picking a fight with health workers.
We haven't, because we've accepted in full the recommendation. We have a long-standing process around the pay review bodies. They're independent of government. We've accepted their findings in full, and we recognise the fact that the NHS had been under significant pressure from the pandemic by giving them a 3% when others had a pay freeze last year. But we also need to get that investment into clearing the pandemic backlogs.
There have been no negotiations. I'm the lead negotiator for the NHS. I've not been asked to do my job by the government. They just want to ignore the problem, pretend nothing is happening, and unfortunately scenes like this are going to be all too common unless they start listening to us.
At a dementia daycare centre in Kirkby-on-Merseyside, set up by a former nurse, they were worried about today with such vulnerable patients. But they also know the strain on the service poses risks all year round.
So only yesterday I called for an ambulance and there was a 4-hour wait. So with family, with the call handler and with our team, we decided to take the client to A&E ourselves. So it's not just today where there's worries around ambulances, it's every day. And that's for a multitude of reasons, and basically, you know, the NHS is on its knees.
A government minister has warned against doing anything risky like getting drunk or contact sport. With more strikes planned across the NHS, the dispute may prove difficult to crack, even for a man who makes Christmas dreams come true. Anne O'Connor, ITV News, Liverpool.
Next, a man has pleaded not guilty to the murder of a schoolgirl who was shot dead at a home in Liverpool.
Thomas Cashman appeared by video link to deny killing 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell.
Our correspondent Rob Smith is in Liverpool for us tonight.
Olivia's mum and other members of her family sat in this courtroom today to witness Thomas Cashman enter that plea. Mr Cashman, who's 34 and from Grenadier Drive in West Derby in Liverpool, appeared via video link wearing a pale-coloured polo shirt, and over that video link he pleaded not guilty to Olivia's murder. The 9-year-old was shot dead back in August when a gunman opened fire after chasing a convicted burglar into her family home in the Dovecot area of the city. Her mother was injured in that shooting too. During the hearing that lasted for the best part of an hour, Mr Cashman spoke only to confirm his name, to confirm that he could hear over the video link and to enter his pleas. He also denied charges of attempted murder, wounding with intent and 2 counts of possessing a firearm with intent to endanger life. The case has now been adjourned until a hearing in February. The trial itself will take place the next month, in March 6th, in fact. But it won't happen here. It won't even happen in this city. It'll take place at a Crown Court in Manchester.
Rob Smith reporting from Liverpool there. Now, a world-first trial with 2 specialist units in Liverpool and Salford could offer some promising hope for people with aggressive forms of multiple sclerosis.
Yes, MS affects the brain and spinal cord and is currently incurable. But doctors are trialling stem cell transplants instead of using drugs to treat the condition.
They hope the study could lead to some patients being offered transplants as soon as they're diagnosed and not just when other treatments have failed.
James Coates from Lancashire has been given one of these transplants and is now looking to the future, as Anna Yosef reports.
Have the girls messaged you to say what day they're coming back for Christmas?
Yeah, I think they said they were coming on the 22nd and they're going to stay for about 3 or 4 days.
OK.
Planning for Christmas. But when James Coates was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2011 after problems walking, facial numbness and cognitive issues, any plans he'd had were put on hold.
At that stage, it was more the uncertainty of how things were going to be in the future for me. It was quite frightening as things started to progress because you didn't know what was going to be next. You didn't know if you were going to have a new symptom next week or, your current symptoms were going to be getting worse. And if they were, how worse?
Despite no cure for the condition, wife Alison refused to give up hope and found out about a groundbreaking stem cell transplant trial.
What do you think life would have been like for you now if you hadn't had the transplant?
I dread to think what condition I'd be in now if I hadn't have had the transplant 6.5 years ago. I'm 99% sure that I'd be in a wheelchair full term, if not worse. So the difference is now I can look forward to my future, whereas beforehand, I used to dread what the future held for me.
Now a world-first trial with 2 specialist units in Liverpool and Salford could lead to the treatment being the first option for others with MS.
It's important that we establish the exact place of stem cell transplantation in the therapeutic armamentarium of MS in the modern era. That's why we're comparing stem cell transplantation with the modern drugs that are currently available and licensed for use in MS.
James and Alison have also set up a charity to raise awareness of the treatment and offer support to people with MS.
James is medically retired now. He still has those disabilities, so he still cannot walk any distance, really. He's still got those difficulties, but knowing that it isn't progressing has just been amazing in terms of quality of life for both of us.
The transplant itself, HSCT, costs the NHS around about £30,000 per patient, but it's a one-off treatment. You know, there isn't anything after that. That's everything all included. Whereas some of the medications that neurologists put MS patients on can cost more than that each year. And if you're thinking about that, if they put them on that when they are 30 or 40, they could be on it for another 20, 30 years, if not more, you know. So it doesn't really bear thinking about. There's no comparison.
The treatments allowed the couple to travel the world and make plans for the future. They hope others will now get the chance to fulfil their dreams as well. Anna Yosef, ITV News.
Great news there and happy travels. And there's lots more information on this pioneering treatment and an appeal for volunteers to get involved on our website. That's itv.com/Granada.
More of the day's news now, and the family of Liverpool council worker Ashley Dale say Christmas this year will be unbearable as they continue to appeal to find her killer. Ashley was shot dead in her home in Old Swan last August. Today would have been her 29th birthday. Merseyside police are asking anyone with even the smallest detail to get in touch.
TransPennine Express has issued a do not travel alert for today because of what it describes as a system issue which is causing major disruption to services. The company, which runs trains across the northwest, Yorkshire and to Scotland, has had cancellations for several months because of strikes and staffing problems. It's blaming the latest disruption on a system it uses for rostering.
With the busy few days ahead for festive travellers, National Highways say they hope to keep the northwest moving by lifting almost all roadworks and road closures until the new year. The roads are expected to be especially busy over the next few weeks due to strikes by transport unions and a change in the temperature, bringing more cold weather.
What we've done is we've lifted all 900 miles of roadworks, which has given 98% capacity on the whole network nationally. In the region in the northwest, there will be no overnight closures, there will be no carriageway closures, and there will be no lane closures during the day.
Well, that's something to cheer about, and so is this. It's been revealed American music superstar Bob Dylan is a big fan of Coronation Street. The 81-year-old discussed his love of the long-running ITV show in a rare interview, saying watching it makes him feel at home, which is odd because he's from Minnesota. Now it's been suggested he should make a cameo appearance in the soap. Ian McLeod, a producer on Corrie, says the fact that Dylan's such a big fan has been rather hard to take in.
Mind-blowing, isn't it? I had to check it wasn't April Fool's Day when I got a message from our press officer, to be honest, and then my brain promptly exploded. So it's incredibly exciting, incredibly flattering, and, you know, obviously it sets your imagination running, doesn't it? You know, the idea of Bob Dylan popping into the Rovers Return for a drink or to do a bit of karaoke with some of our regulars. It's just almost too good to be true, isn't it?
It would blow my mind as well.
A cameo role, give him a major storyline. The long-lost cousin coming in to ruffle a few feathers.
Oh, he could go on Granada introducing.
Yeah.
How good would that be?
That sounds like a plan. Bob, get on the show. Still to come tonight.
Just look at the reaction from the kids whose Secret Santa turned out to be a stunning surprise.
And we've made it to the winter solstice. Today, the beginning of astronomical winter, and today has the fewest hours of daylight. The sun reaches its furthest point south of the equator, and after today, the nights start to get shorter again. Some good news ahead, and of course all our thoughts beginning to turn to the Christmas weekend. I'll have a sneaky peek in the weather a little bit later on.
Where you learn something new on Granada Reports every day. Astronomical winter. I love that. Here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary.
Coming up on the programme, don't take risks and don't get drunk. A warning to the public today as paramedics take to the picket lines. Thousands go on strike over pay while government ministers accuse the unions of putting their patients at risk. Also, a man described as brutal, vicious and cruel is given a whole life sentence for murdering a pregnant woman and 3 children. Ukraine's President Zelensky is heading to the United States to meet his most important war ally. And
Christmas trees lined up all in a row.
the famous faces teaming up for the next Christmas #1. Well, do join me if you can for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, with energy prices so high and more wintry weather on the way, the cost of heating our homes is a big worry, of course. But we have 5 top tips you can do if you want to save energy and money at what is, of course, a very expensive time of year.
Yeah, James Webster has been getting advice from a range of organisations, including the Energy Saving Trust, that could save you hundreds of pounds.
Tip number 1, spend some time setting up your thermostat and timer. Reducing the temperature by just 1 degree could save £150 a year. But remember, experts say rooms should be at least 18 Celsius and as high as 21 for people who are vulnerable. Next, check your combi boiler. Turning the flow temperature down to 60 degrees could save around £100 a year, and your rooms will still get warm if you have a water tank. The temperature should be at least 65 degrees to make sure bacteria doesn't form in the tank. On to our third tip now, and it's about reducing how much water you use while showering. Try spending less time in the shower. If you can get washed in 4 minutes, it could save you £90 a year. Another way is to fit a water-efficient shower head. Just remember, they're not advisable with electric showers. Next, try turning down your radiator valves in rooms that you use less often. That could save £70 a year. Experts say it's best to set your radiators to the middle of the valve rather than using them at full power like an on-off switch. Finally, fitting draft proofing could save around £50 a year. You can get strips for your windows, doors and letterboxes, and also seal the gaps around your floors. If you can implement all 5 of these tips, it could save around £40 a month, and experts say it really might be worth doing.
It does take a bit of thought, a bit of effort to work out what you can do in your circumstance, because everyone's different. Not everyone can do everything that we might suggest or you might suggest. But if you take the effort to find out what it is you can do, then that gives you the confidence to make the changes, remain comfortable, remain healthy, but keep those bills down and save yourself a few £100 a year.
And if you want to read more detail about our energy saving tips, go to itv.com/advice. And remember, it's not about turning off your heating and being cold. It's about using energy more carefully and saving money while you do it.
Some good tips there. I've been trying to get my husband to improve the installation. Hope he's watching and gets on it now.
Yeah, James, thank you. Now, as we count down to Christmas, there's still 4 days to go, so don't panic. There's still time to get yourself sorted. But today is another important event in the astronomical calendar, which is being celebrated in style in Blackburn.
It certainly is. It is the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, and marks the beginning of the days getting longer. And it also marks the transformation of 3 abandoned greenhouses into a great place for a party.
And that is where Victoria Grimes is for us tonight. And Vicky, you can sniff out a good shindig anywhere. How's it going where you are?
Oh, Gamal, the only person I know who likes a good shindig more than me is Elaine Wilcox. She loves a good shindig. But we are here in Blackpool, in Witten Park tonight. And everybody is having a rather lovely time. We have got Andy here who's going to tell us a little bit more about it. The smell of mulled wine is in the air, the cakes are baking, there's a hot curry on the go. Andy, what's this all about?
Well, this is all about us from the Lancashire Wildlife Trust. We've been renovating these long abandoned greenhouses. They were abandoned for 12 years and we're bringing them back to life and giving people the opportunity, people who've been experiencing poor mental health, poor physical health, to come together, make friends and get active and connect with the natural world, really.
And what a day to do it on winter solstice.
Well, it's perfect, isn't it? And that's what we thought. We'd get people together, we'd have some nice food provided by a local curry club in Little Harwood. We've got the arts organisation who brought lanterns. We've got fantastic music for all. The Music Society have come down and done folk music, and everyone's having a great time.
Everyone's having a great time. They are indeed. Andy, thank you very much indeed. Let's go and talk to Hazel now. Here she is. Hazel, now you've been part of this project, haven't you? You've been volunteering here for a while. Just tell us how you got involved. What happened?
I brought a friend at first.
Yeah.
And I was invited to join.
But just tell us what happened to you, how you hurt yourself.
I was blown over in a gale and I broke my back about 5 years ago now. Since I've been coming here, I've found a load of confidence. I thoroughly enjoy coming.
Yeah.
And I sometimes forget where I put my crutch.
There's a crutch. So that's how well you're doing, though, isn't it?
Yes.
How much this means to you, and
It
to
means
get
an
involved in the
awful
gardening
lot.
and the nature.
Yes, it does. It is so tremendous.
Yeah.
The people here are wonderful. You learn and you appreciate the time people put in.
You really do, and it looks magnificent. I wish we were here in daylight so we could show you more of the amazing herbs and flowers and plants and things they've got here that Hazel and everyone have helped to put together. But tonight, it is all about the partying. The fairy lights are on. We have got the solstice folk here tonight. Are you ready to take it away, guys?
2, 3, 4.
I've got a nice warm feeling in my tummy there.
Yeah.
And
Good on you, Hazel.
Without doubt, is the star of tonight's show.
Loved a hat too.
Yeah, amazing.
Now to the global superstar who gave some of his biggest fans the surprise of their lives.
When a group of budding footballers from Manchester were given the chance to train at Manchester City's academy, they had no idea who they were playing with.
Thankfully, Chris Hall was there for the big reveal.
All they wanted for Christmas was a kickabout with Santa in Manchester City's workshop. But then, their real gift unwrapped itself.
1, 2, 3.
City stars Kevin De Bruyne and Cole Palmer dropping down the chimney to meet their young fans.
Let's start with the boots. These are going to take on match day. How are you going to play in these?
Very difficult, but it depends. If it's snowy and cold, maybe it works, maybe.
And the suit suits you as well. You know, is this your first time as Father Christmas?
Yeah, actually it is. I've done the Grinch before, but not Santa.
Which suits you the most? Are you a happy lover of Christmas, or are you a bit of a grouch?
Yeah, maybe the Grinch is more fun.
Shocked, like I was so shocked. I didn't even know it was him. It just surprised me a lot.
Kevin, is it really you?
Cole's team is close second.
Really shocking and exciting. They signed the pictures.
And are you keeping these, or are you giving them to your parents, or are
No,
you
I'm keeping them. I'm going to frame it in my room.
I think it's always nice because obviously it's that time of the year and people enjoy it, and you know, when they don't have a clue and you see the faces how they light up, it's always nice to see.
I'll give them about 3 seconds to them not notice me.
Beautiful.
Have you been a good boy?
Yeah, really good one. Do you have any presents for me?
What's Christmas like as a footballer, and what was it like for you as a kid growing up?
Well, I think like normal when I was younger with the family and having some food and presents and all that stuff.
What's your Christmas Day food? What would that be as a kid?
Just normal Christmas dinner like in England, or maybe in Belgium we would do fondue or something with meat. Friends and family come over, you know, we already got some kids, so it makes it fun for them.
Ready, steady, go!
The pupils of Our Lady Primary School from Whalley Range were the latest to get a free coaching session from Manchester City, whose Christmas campaign has raised £190,000, funding 76,000 hours of community coaching.
The very first pass that Santa on the left had to give me was outside of the cones, and I thought, I'm pretty sure that's Kevin De Bruyne under there. I do not expect this type of service from him, but fair play to them. They were good sports. When times like this do happen, it tends to be a time of need, and the people that do get the chance to experience it, it makes a huge difference to their lives.
'Twas the night before Liverpool in the League Cup 4th round. In the first team, these Santas hoped to be found after a 6-week World Cup break for Cole, but not Kevin, was failure with Belgium still doing his head in.
I don't know. I just take it as it is. I've played in many tournaments now, so sometimes it goes really well and sometimes it's a little bit less. So I just keep going on with my job. But I can't really say how it's going to be in a couple of months. You can be fresh in the beginning and tired at the end, or vice versa. So I hope everybody comes back in the right mental state, right rhythm, and then hopefully we'll do all right.
It's a moment they'll replay in their heads for years. The only way they'll top this is spotting the real Santa on Christmas Eve. Chris Hall, ITV News, Manchester.
Absolutely starstruck, weren't they? Those faces.
Yeah. Nothing better than meeting your hero when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Counting down to the Christmas Day weather now. Here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. Today may have been the day to do the outside jobs. I have to say the next few days more cloud around, outbreaks of rain. It's beginning to feel chilly and into the Christmas weekend itself. At the moment, Christmas Day looks dry. Cold air will dig in and this will turn showers slightly wintry. Perhaps there'll be some snow on Boxing Day. It's a way off, of course. We will keep you posted, but to put you in the picture, there's going to be a battle between the slightly less cold air and then during the course of the Christmas weekend itself, the colder air moving back in from the north. And this will turn any showers wintry towards the end of the weekend and into the beginning of next week. In the meantime, this evening here in the northwest, lots of dry weather to come, clear skies, a bit of fog, but there's a fair breeze around. And temperature-wise, we avoid a frost tonight, probably dipping to around 4 or 5 Celsius in more sheltered areas before tomorrow morning. On to tomorrow, a few pockets of fog perhaps in the Pennines to start the day. And tomorrow the sun times, it will be rising tomorrow morning at 8:27, setting at 3:52. Tomorrow, if you're up early, it could be foggy on those Trans-Pennine routes, the Peak District. Quite quickly, cloud will feed in from the southwest and a band of showery rain will move in across most places, turning things rather damp and drizzly during tomorrow afternoon with some hill fog again on those higher routes. Temperature-wise, it could get to around 7 or 8 Celsius, no great shakes, and tomorrow night could be quite foggy across the board. Looking ahead to Friday and Saturday, rather cloudy, damp days, it has to be said. At the moment, Christmas Day looking fine and dry with that colder air digging in during Christmas Day night. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Fine and dry on Christmas Day, I'll take that.
I will.
Yeah.
Christmas walk, build up an appetite.
Sounds
Lovely.
good. Works for me.
On tomorrow's programme, another football star who has stepped in to help after hundreds of toys and gifts were destroyed by flooding at a food bank.
You can always keep up to date on all the stories on our website, on our the usual address, itv.com/Granada. There's also a link to watch this programme again. Why would you not want to do that? Another dose of Elaine and Gamal? It's a no-brainer. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.